We talk about color in the garden a lot of the time on our program. We feature plants that have very colorful flowers, and we sometimes feature plants that have very brilliant leaf color. But today I want to show you a plant which gets its primary source of color from its fruit. This is the Firethorn shrub, or Pyracantha. And the plant's botanical name, Pyracantha, means the exact same thing as its common name, Firethorn. The word pyra, meaning fire, of course refers to the brilliant red-orange color of its fruit. And then cantha, which means thorn, refers to the fact that the plant does have thorns along its stems. Now, these fruit look like berries, but botanically they're actually known as pomes, kind of like the apple is known as a pome. Pyracantha is in the rose family, just like apples are. So these little fruits have sort of the same consistency as little apples, or very similar to the hips of roses. Now, unlike apples and rose hips, the fruit of Pyracantha are not edible. If you were to eat some of these, you'd probably get a stomachache. The Pyracantha is a fairly quick-growing, semi-evergreen shrub that does best in full sun, and it will grow in pretty much any soil except one that is very, very heavy clay. Now, being semi-evergreen means that they will hang on to their leaves through all but the coldest of winters. As you can see, the plants are quite large. They can get to be about 10 to 12 feet tall by 10 to 12 feet wide, or even a little bit bigger than that. So if you're not going to shear them back, you'll need to be sure and give them plenty of room in the garden. Now, when it comes to pruning the Pyracantha, they do take shearing very well. They're very easily sheared into hedges, they're easily trained into small trees, and sometimes we see very intricate plantings of Pyracantha espaliered on walls or fences. Well, this particular cultivar of Pyracantha is one known as Mojave. And as you can see, it's a very heavily fruiting cultivar. It just gives you so many of these little orange fruits. So that's going to give you more color out in your garden. The cultivar Mojave is also a little bit more resistant to some of the diseases that a lot of the plants in the rose family are susceptible to. Occasionally on Pyracantha, we'll have some lace bugs that will feed on the leaves. You can see right here some leaves that have had a little bit of lace bug damage back earlier this year. You get sort of this stippling effect that kind of makes the leaves look pale. And sometimes it's actually confused with spider mite damage. But the insect that is doing this damage is a little thing in the Homoptera order of insects, sort of like aphids. They pierce the leaf and they suck out those plant juices. These can sometimes be taken care of with a strong blast of water from the garden hose, or maybe sprayed from time to time with some insecticidal soap. But if that doesn't take care of the problem, then you may have to go with something a little stronger like 7-orthene or diazinon. Well, the Pyracantha are native to Eastern Europe all the way to Western Asia, but they do perform quite well here in our American landscapes. Another thing to remember about Pyracantha is that you don't want to give them any fertilizer after spring, and that's because we could get a second flush of growth that would produce a lot of leaves, and it would cover up all this showy fruit. So no fertilizer after spring for the Pyracantha. Well, if you would like to have a wonderful autumn showcase in your garden, this really fiery, large, thorny shrub would make a very nice show in your garden. If you'd like one of those, you might think about planting the cultivar Mojave of the Pyracantha.